Want to know how to get your music out of the cloud? We're going to show you how today on Lab Rats. This episode of Lab Rats is brought to you by Gamefly.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Lab Rats. My name is Andy Walker.
I'm Sean Carruthers.
And we are back from, I guess, what turned out to be a bit of a break.
We took a hiatus.
So let's talk a little bit about that before we get on with today's episode. So we were, as you know, we were on the Butterscotch Network before, and that, as businesses come and go, that one went to a close, and we went looking for a new home, and delightfully so, we're now on Revision 3, of course.
Yes.
You probably found us there, and if you found us on labrats.tv, then of course you can zip on over there to revision3.com as well to see us as well. We're going to be there moving forward into 2012 and beyond, we hope.
Yes, sir, and all the other shows that are on Revision 3, of course.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to pull kind of the lost episode out of the can for this episode. So we covered, well, you tell us what we covered.
Well, we had this one in the can just before Butterscotch went the way of the dodo, and it was all about streaming audio. So there's services out there where you can fire up your phone or your computer and stream music from wherever you happen to be. Services like Rdio, Slacker, Spotify, getting a lot of attention these days. So we figured we'd sort of dig into what they are, how they work, and what you can do to start listening to music from the cloud.
Awesome, okay, good. So we're going to roll in an episode we shot in October. You never actually saw it. And then we're going to come back at the end of the show and kind of fill you on some of the gaps of what has happened since, because there was some stuff that were happening at South by Southwest this year.
Yeah, so just a few weeks ago, just as we were getting ready to push this one back out the door, they released a couple new features. So we'll sort of wrap those up before we close the whole episode down. Okay,
awesome. All right. So there you go. It's a brand new episode of, well, sort of a brand new, brand old episode of Lab Rats. So let's get into that. And then when we come back, we're going to do a little bit of a wrap. And then in the next episode we do is going to be our all-new format. So stay tuned for that next week.
Yes.
All right, well, let's get started.
This episode of Lab Rats is brought to you by Gamefly.
Gamefly is the largest online video game rental service and offers you a choice of over 7,000 new and classic titles across all consoles and handhelds.
The plan's starting at $15.95 a month. Gamefly members can rent 1 to 4 games at a time and keep them for as long as they like.
And there are no late fees, no due dates, and shipping is always free.
Once you're done playing a game, ship it back, and Gamefly will send you the next available game on your list.
And if you really like the game you're playing, simply click Keep It on the Gamefly website, and the game is yours at a discounted price. Gamefly will even mail you the case and manuals for free.
And the best thing of all is Lab Rats fans get a 15-day free trial by going over to gamefly.com/labrats.
That's gamefly.com/labrats. Go on, go register now. All right, good. So music in the cloud. So I think if you probably spoke those words 10 years ago, people would look at you kind of funny.
Yeah, there was about 10 years ago. There was a little bit of music in the cloud, but it was not something that people had really latched onto. So you probably remember back in the day there were. Well, let's go way back into the day. First of all, you had like media, so you had like records, right? So this is how people listened to music on physical media that they put down, and it made a physical connection with a needle. And
Granddad, what's that round flat thing that's spinning on the thing?
It's just my Jimmy Dorsey record, son. Anyways, so
is that a 33 1/3?
33 1/3. So vinyl was the way that a lot of people used to do that. It's still out there for people that really want to do this.
But how does it fit into your iPod? This one?
It doesn't. And this is the thing. This was a very analog method of dealing with your music. Cool. So you can play it at home on your player. Yeah, it does smell good. Okay. So there's still a bunch of fetishists about this. They love the packaging. They love the sound of it. Whatever, but not very portable.
Definitely not in the cloud.
Definitely not in the cloud. Right. Although I should take that back. There were portable record players that I think they call them soundburgers or something like that. They weren't exactly portable. They were still pretty big. Not like your Discman.
Okay, good.
So next up we had the CD era. I mean, there were tapes and there were 8 tracks. There was the Walkman. That became portable, still very analog. Then there became a more digital format, and that was the CD. So same music as on there, except now it's on this shiny disc. And the nice thing about that is you could actually take those digits off of here and rip them into an MP3 and then put it on one of your players.
Oh, that's one of those newfangled iPods.
Yeah, so this is one of these newfangled, very newfangled. Anyways, it's starting to speak a lot to this whole issue that we're talking about today, and that this looks almost archaic now.
It's funny. It's
Yeah.
bizarre, but it does. It looks like, oh, that's old-fashioned.
Yeah, and at the beginning of this century, this millennium, if you will, this was actually pretty high tech. And this right here, 160 gigabytes on there, that's a lot of music, but it's apparently not enough for some people. Now, when they went digital back in those days, there's this, the MP3 came out. It was sort of not exactly sanctioned by the music industry at that point. It was some sort of bootstrap project from these people off in Germany.
Crazy Germans came up with it, yeah.
And then there was this other group of people, again, not exactly sanctioned, called Napster, that came along and allowed people to sort of share that music back and forth directly among each other.
Yeah, and then began the demise of the record industry.
Yeah, and that became a bit of a problem in some way. But the thing is that people obviously at that point wanted to get their music digitally, and they wanted to be able to download it as opposed to having to drive down to the mall to get their Aussie albums. They wanted to just be able to sit there in the comfort of their cave in the basement and download it there. Record industry didn't really do that, which is why Napster came to be. But then that's why the Justice Department came down on them and sort of forced them not to do that anymore.
Right.
So Napster made the transition at that point into a cloud-based service.
Okay, so cloud, define cloud, because that's, people are going to go, oh, what's a cloud?
Yeah. Okay, so the cloud is the internet as a whole. There's virtual storage that is based on the internet. So there's servers here, servers there, and essentially when you want to grab music from the cloud or grab any data from the cloud, you're basically reaching out onto the internet and grabbing it from there rather than keeping it locally on your computer or on your iPod or whatever. It's out there.
And if you want to know more about like what a cloud computing is, we actually have an episode from, I don't know, about 30 or 40 episodes ago. We'll put a key up here so you can go and check it out. But it kind of explains what a cloud is. But you're right, it's like virtual, using the internet as a place to store stuff and get stuff from.
Yes. Yeah. So back in those days, Napster went legitimate. They partnered with a few record labels. I think RCA was the first of them. And they started making a subscription model available where people could actually start downloading their music and listening to it. Very heavily DRM protected so that they couldn't actually take that music and put it elsewhere.
DRM?
Digital rights management. So it's something that the record labels insisted upon to make sure that if you bought an album, it would basically be good for your computer and maybe a couple of your devices, but that's it.
I couldn't give it to you.
You couldn't give it to me.
Yeah.
So, and that was the general model up until a couple of years ago, is DRM was pretty much placed on almost all music that was made available by the record labels in any legitimate format. So that was one stumbling block for people actually going to the cloud. Number one, they didn't get it. They didn't get the concept back at the early part of the 2000s. They didn't have a good enough selection. The internet wasn't particularly robust at that point either.
There wasn't fast connections and
there weren't
ubiquitous connections.
There weren't fast, ubiquitous connections.
Yeah.
And the subscription fees were just onerous in some cases. People didn't want to pay for that, and they really worried. They'd rather go out and get their CD and know, I own this CD, rather than being at the mercy of some record label that might take away my subscription to this CD. So
there we are.
That's where we were and how we've come to be. Things have changed because now we have better connections everywhere we go. So more people are going mobile all the time. And this is where you want to listen to your music in a lot of cases, is while you're on the road. Yeah. Back in the day, you couldn't really do that with your phone because your connection was not really great. I mean, let alone the one back in your house. Your house is now very good, and even the connections that you're getting wirelessly through your cell phone network are actually pretty good.
All right. So let's see something, because I'm like dying to see something.
All right. Well, like I said,
show me the cloud.
All right. Well, there's a couple of services out there that we have. So there's, I think Rhapsody is still around doing its thing. There's a bunch of newer services out there that are getting a little bit of attention right now, like Rdio. We've actually got that up here on the screen. So it's available on the web and available on mobile devices, and we'll show that off in a little bit.
Okay.
We've got Slacker, which is another company that does the similar sort of thing.
Right. So all these guys have collections of music sitting on their servers out there on the cloud.
Right.
You pay a fee, one-time fee or a monthly fee?
It's generally a monthly subscription fee. That's how they determine whether or not you have access to the music. So it streams to your computer or to your mobile device. Because you have a subscription, it says, yeah, it's good to go. Send the music to him or her, and then you can listen to your tunes. Subscription goes away, no more tunes.
No more tunes.
Yeah, so that's something we'll get into with the pros and cons a bit later on.
All right.
But yeah, so there's these services. There's Spotify, which is making a lot of waves right now. This is the one from Sweden. They started there and are starting to spread into the US. Not in Canada yet. which is one con that we'll also get into. There's Pandora, of course. So a number of these that are out there streaming tunes. Each of them has slightly different methods of interacting with the consumers. So for example, our friends at Slacker, when they first started out, it was just basically radio station based. So you could say, I want to listen to top 40 and press play, and then it would start streaming music to you. So like you're listening to a station. You didn't have control over what you were listening to, other than you can actually hit fast forward and say, I don't want to listen to this song anymore. So it would keep going forward like that.
Right.
Then a lot of others came around that actually allowed you to pick music back to the old sort of Napster format, where you could say, I want to listen to artist X and track X.
So ABBA Dancing Queen.
Right. So this is, for example, Rdio.
Talking about Swedish music.
Swedish. So why don't we actually show this off in action as well? So I'm going to switch over to our iPad here, and this is one of the nice things about this, is you can actually play music on your computer. And this is one of the differentiating factors between them, is that some are just strictly on the web only, and some are actually on mobile devices as well, and usually you pay a bit of a premium for that. So let's fire up Rdio. So you can see my control panel here.
This is an app running on the iPad.
This is an app running on the iPad. It's pulling the information over Wi-Fi right now. If I had 3G, I could theoretically do that as well. So I've got my collection right here. You can see all the stuff that I've been listening to, and I've added to my collection, so I can go back to it quickly. But I can also do a search here. So I'm going to search for ABBA.
Clear. Yay.
And there we go, 26 albums. And you can see that all of these albums are here. And you see, this is how quickly, how long would this have taken if I'd have had to get into my car and drive down to the store?
I know.
But right now, I'm going to go, okay, Super Troopers right here. We can play The Winner Takes It All by just clicking on it. And we're going to be streaming The Winner Takes It All in just a few seconds. And that's all it took, right? So now I can listen to anything I can think of that just happens to be on this service.
And you don't have to hang out at the mall.
I don't have to hang out at the mall or deal with those little punk kids with their baggy trousers and their Limp Bizkit CDs. They're probably not even listening to Limp Bizkit anymore at all anyways.
You're dating yourself.
Yeah. Well, nobody else will. Anyways, so here's the thing, is I can listen to this now and just move on.
Yeah.
Or I can choose to actually say, oh, I really like this track, so I'm going to hit plus, and I'm going to add it to my collection. If I want, I'm going to do that first of all. So that's now part of my collection, so I can go back to that just by looking at my collection tab as opposed to having to search for it again.
Yeah.
But I can also say, you know what, I really like this whole album. I'm going to remove that from the collection, but I'm going to add it back to the collection because I had something in there. So now the whole album is in my collection, but I can also sync to mobile. And what that's going to do now is it's actually going to download it here. Now, in some cases, you can actually download to the devices. Spotify, I think, allows you to download higher quality copies to your computer. Rdio allows you to download not the highest quality copies to your mobile device.
Better turn that off because we're going to have to pay royalties to ABBA in a second.
All right. I think we already did. So then you get the idea here. So now I can go back to my collection and see now ABBA is sitting here, and you notice on the sidebar here, there's things that are listed as actually being on my device as opposed to just in my collection. So if I, again, click through to one of these other things, you can see the check marks beside. That means I'm able to stream them. But they're not actually on this device as of yet. Now, that's one of the very positive aspects of this particular thing.
Are these all made up like music groups, or are they real?
They're all real. They're all real.
Have they ever had a hit? Besides Fleetwood
yes.
Mac?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's one thing that's worth noting though about this whole situation. There's a lot of music on these services these days. Rdio is one of the better ones. Slacker has a lot of stuff. Of course, Spotify and Napster have tons of content on there, but it doesn't actually have all content. So let's say we'll go to Fleetwood Mac here, search them, and I actually want to look for, say, their album Bare Trees, which is one of their earlier ones before they actually got
good
Stevie and Lindsay. Oh, well, you could say good, I suppose, but one of their more bluesy-based albums. But you can search down here, and you know what? It's not there. It's not in here. You can see a lot of other stuff. There's a lot of stuff that just isn't on here because they haven't licensed it yet.
Right. So that must be one of the big disadvantages of some of these services, is there is big holes in their collections.
Right.
Like what about like the Beatles, and are they participating these days?
Well, they just added themselves to iTunes, but yeah, the Beatles are listed here, but
not all the albums.
But not all the albums. There's only 7, and it's not any of the good ones from the looks of it. So
it's not any of them by the looks of it.
Yeah.
Oh, here and there and everywhere. Okay.
Yeah. So there's like tributes and other things and interviews. So not all of these services will have everything you want to hear, and that's one of the downsides of this.
I got it.
And of course, with a lot of these, like this one right here, you can download to this, but a lot of them, when you don't have access to a signal, your music goes away. You can't listen to it. So,
so let's talk about pros and cons.
Yeah.
Because we've got to get to the break shortly. So, pros. You can have your music anywhere. Right?
Have your music anywhere as long as you have an internet connection.
Internet connection. Okay, good.
And the one really nice thing about this, say you buy more than one CD a month. Okay, well this right here is like $10 to $15, depending on whether or not you get it on sale, right? Well, it's $10 for a subscription, a monthly subscription to that. So if you buy more than one of these a month, and all of the content that you like to listen to is available on these services, it becomes way cheaper to do that.
Because you have access to the entire library for the price of one CD per month.
Right, and not only do you have access to the music that you bought with your CD format, for example, you also have access, as you mentioned, to a whole pile of other stuff that isn't already in your physical collection.
Right. Okay,
right?
Good. Okay, good. So you don't have to carry all that stuff around with you, so you don't need lots of storage on if you're a physical person.
Right, you don't have to carry a hard drive, you don't even have to carry this anymore. This, after a while, starts to seem pretty heavy if you're already carrying your iPhone. Right?
Yeah, true enough. Too many multiple gadgets, okay. There's something about, there's an advantage from a social media perspective. What's that about?
Yeah, a lot of these have a social aspect to them as well. So a lot of these services just recently got hooked up with Facebook. So you have the ability to actually share with Facebook, but some of them, like Rdio, have other people that connect to, and you can friend them and start listening to each other's content. So I can actually go to, say, people here on Rdio, and I see here are the people that I'm following, and here's what they're listening to. So I can find out that Ben Lucier just recently listened to a Duran Duran track. I can find out that Paul has been listening to M83. Our friend Jay is listening to A Tribe Called Quest. So I can see what everyone else is listening to and start listening to those myself.
Or just mock them.
Or mock them, yeah. So this is one of the downsides, is that if you have bad taste and you listen to a lot of Duran Duran or a Cyndi Lauper, then everyone will know it if they go and look at this.
And finally, you can do this both on your desktop or on mobile too, right?
Right, so we've got Rdio and Slacker on my iPhone as well, as opposed to just the iPad or the desktop machine.
With your computer. Okay,
yeah,
good.
so it's a little bit more expensive to do it that way with a service like Rdio. It's like $4.99 just for the web, $10 for mobile as well.
So there's also a downside to this, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And the first thing that comes to mind is you stop paying your subscription, you lose access to all your music.
Yeah, you would think that you would gain access to music that you've paid for, but you're really just leasing it when you're
rental.
Yeah, it's a subscription base. It's sort of like Netflix. Just because you happen to rent the newest movie by Julia Roberts doesn't mean that you get to keep that for all time. You've just rented it and now it's done, just like at the store. So that's not the case when you get something like this. You actually buy this, you get to keep it. This, you buy it, you get to keep it. It sits in your collection until you decide to physically sell it. No one's going to come in and say, oh, you forgot to pay your monthly subscription to that LP. That's right. It's gone.
It's gone.
Right? So your music can go away. And of course, that brings up one of the other downsides here is you don't actually own anything. So you don't have anything to show for it at the end of it.
Well, what about the services when you do download the music and then you stop paying? What happens there?
They go away. So I've downloaded to this machine. It's DRM protected based on my subscription. If I don't have a subscription, it's gone.
Got it. Not so good. Right.
Yeah. Another issue about this is with the DRM involved in that, the record labels basically control what you can and can't listen to, I guess, as well, to a certain extent. And one of the problems with digital is, again, we've talked about not everything is available, and that's something that's licensed by a region in some cases. So in Canada, I can't listen to some of these things. I can't listen to Spotify at all in Canada because they haven't set up licensing yet. But even though I have Rdio, which is available in Canada or the States, if one of the record labels has decided they're not making that particular piece of content available in this region, well, I don't have access to it. Worse, they can actually pull something from that down the road. So if they actually bring something out of, if they lose rights to something and it goes to a record label that hasn't made the deal, well, you lose access to that.
So if you move to Zambia, you could lose your access to ABBA, for example?
Yeah, well, there's that. That's a regional issue. But even if like, say, U2 decides that they're going to sign with this record label based out of Peru, and they don't have a licensing agreement, yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Is
totally,
that
you're at the whim of the business of music as opposed to
as opposed to if I went and bought that on vinyl, it's still in my collection. I can still listen to it. So that's one of the big downsides there.
Very good. And then I guess finally this sort of social media piece of it, it's interesting, but I mean after a while I don't really care that you listen to music that sounds like cows are being slaughtered.
Yeah,
you kind of do that.
Well,
right?
you wouldn't slaughter, or you wouldn't listen to my slaughter music, and you wouldn't subscribe to me in that case.
Seeing a ding, ding there's some stuff that you listen to that I'm, pitch up boys, but there's some of this other clanky stuff that you listen to. I don't want to see a bulletin that Sean is, I know that every time you go to the bathroom you listen to your favorite Wilco album.
Yeah, no, that's not my bathroom music. I listen to something else there.
Don't tell me.
You brought it up. You brought it up. Anyways. So here's
inspirational.
Yeah, so here's the thing. The social aspect can be great if you're looking to learn about music from your friends and you trust them. However, with the integration into things like Facebook right now, this can get really, really spammy. So with the new Facebook ticker that's up on the top corner, there's a bunch of stuff that is going on through that now. So every time someone listens to a new Spotify track, it can appear in that ticker.
Right.
So there's going to need to be a little bit of a refinement on some of this. In fact, Spotify just announced that they're putting in a private mode so that you can actually listen to the music without alerting everybody every time you do that.
Yeah, because if you got a little bit of like love and music, every Thursday night, you kind of know what's going on.
Yeah.
Got it. All right, well, that's music from the cloud, music in the cloud, from the cloud, from the cloud.
From the cloud, to the cloud, in the cloud, by the cloud.
There you go. Thanks for tuning in this week and pushing play. It'd be foolish for us to be here showing you music from the cloud if you weren't out there going, I'd really like to listen to ABBA on demand. My name's Andy Walker.
Sean Carruthers.
We'll see you next time. Are you ready? Well, welcome back. So that was last fall. Do I look thinner?
I guess so.
Lost a couple pounds. All right, so now there's been some changes here. At South by Southwest, Rdio had a new interface announcement or something?
Yeah, so the product itself still works largely the same. It still streams music, you can set up playlists, all that good stuff. But they've updated the interface to make it a little bit easier to use and a little bit more social as well. So we'll take a quick look just to wrap up and bring us up to speed here.
All right, let's have a look.
So you can get to the new Rdio interface by going up to your name in the top right-hand corner of the screen and clicking on it, and then there's an option there that says try the new Rdio. You may actually have the old Rdio right now and you might not get it until you click on this, so you can try it out, preview now until they actually make this the default interface. When you do that, you're going to get a newer interface with a left-hand sidebar containing a lot of the regularly used options that you used to see, like your playlists, new releases, that sort of thing. So it's all running down the side. Over on the right-hand side, you're going to get more social stuff. So all your friends are going to be there, and you're going to have an interface there for Facebook and Twitter sort of integration.
Got it.
And at the top, there's also a PlayStation button. It says PlayStation, but it's not Sony PlayStation.
No, okay, got it.
What it is it creates a mix of all the stuff that you have on your screen.
It's your own radio station.
It's your own radio station. So if you have all of your friends' picks on there, the things they've been listening to, just click PlayStation, and it'll automatically create a mix of all the things you see on there, even if you haven't been listening to them yourself. You don't have to create a playlist to do that.
Awesome.
So there you go. That's what you're going to see, and you can switch back to the old interface if you really don't like the new one, but you probably don't want to.
Awesome. There you go. That's the update from Rdio from South by Southwest. Okay, that's it for Lab Rats this week. We are happy to be done, and it's great to be on Revision 3, so check us out at revision3.com at labrats.tv. And if you want to send us an email, email us at...
We're on Revision 3 at labrats.tv.
Yeah, or more simply...
feedback at labrats.tv. I had to do that.
I know.
It's a tradition,
it is
no matter where we are.
That's awesome. All right, well, I'm Andy Walker.
I'm Sean Carruthers.
We'll see you next time.
Are you